If you are a Star Wars fan, you may be familiar with this video, or at the very least its characters, because I have. I certainly have. Every single day I see it. I see his face. I hear his voice.
You don't read Wikipedia?
No, I do not!
This shit's not a game!
And the names echo throughout the halls. Jinky Minus, Peter Igloo, Gape Bingzoid. I hear people saying that Jinky Minus solos Anakin Skywalker, that Cyclone Jiggy and Peter Igloo are getting together, arguing the complexities of Gape Bingzoid's character, and I'm done. I'm so tired of hearing these names, the voices in my head. It's become too much. So I'm putting it to rest. I watched every single Cote Star Wars video and learned everything I can on the Cote collection of characters, and with it, I will be free. As well as you, viewer. Let us learn together and be free of this curse. Also, like and comment and subscribe and join the First of all, we've got Rundagar Jones, who I'm just gonna get out of the way first, as they are not a Star Wars character. They are just a real actor, as implied by how it feels to be a Star Wars fan 2, and confirmed in how it feels to be a Star Wars fan 8. Also, saying that entire name out loud is really long and repetitive, so I'm just gonna say how number instead. Next up, I'm just gonna list all the characters we know absolutely nothing about, those being Jimleon Slice, Goofish Luts, and Tink Ohando. These guys just have nothing. I don't know what to talk about with them. They exist. After them are the characters we know nearly nothing about. Huge difference there. First up, Master Freaky. An interesting character that presumably had their age retconned at some point or another, as per How9. The title Master may also imply they were a Jedi Master at some point, but we just don't know enough about Freaky to say that for certain. Next up is Kayblian Answer, who might have been gender swapped, and that's not normal for them, presumably. That's really it. After that is Gentry Smevins. Apparently, Smevins is weaker than Unkar Plut. Unkar Plut seems to be a fairly strong guy, so Smevins just seems to be a fairly generic character in terms of strength. Good for them? Or bad for them? I don't really know. Next up is Cyclone Bingzoid. They are the sister of Gape Bingzoid. The only other thing we know about Cyclone is that they're in a relationship with Jinky Minus. And that's it. Also, in How 1, Gape Bingzoid is depicted with the same image that would later be used to depict Cyclone. There's your, fun fact of the day. Next is Nash Biblio. They are a singer in the Max Rebo band. For the first time, we might actually have a vague range of where they might have lived. In the Legends continuity, the Max Rebo band existed for only 1 year, from 3 ABY to 4 ABY. And in canon, we don't have a start date, but based on the member's history, that range seems fairly accurate in the new continuity. This would imply that Nash Biblio was alive by at least 4 ABY. And that's it. I don't think I should be proud of figuring that out. Next up was a shocker to me, and might be a shocker to the rest of you as well, but it's Gombo Jon Jon Kai. Despite being a prominently referenced character in the Cote lore, Kai himself has hardly any lore to speak of. The only thing we know about Kai is that they gamble on pod races, as per House 7. And that's it. A horrible day for Gombo Jon Jon Kai fans. I hope one day we get to learn more about this. Wait, what? Why am I wishing to know more about this parody of a Star Wars character? Never mind. Anyways, next up, we've got Schmidt Lancer. They're a Legends exclusive who constructed Luke's lightsaber. This one's a bit odd, as it's the first continuity error that is objectively false. Luke in both main continuities constructed his lightsaber himself on Tatooine. Maybe this could be rectified by saying that the lightsaber got destroyed later on and Lancer fixed it. Either way, this is the first and only character whose only claim to fame cannot fit in either continuity, and That's fun. Next, we've got a character who I think is pretty interesting. Wait, no, I do not find him interesting. I'm not interested in these characters. I hate them. I need to set that straight. I do not care for these characters. The next one is Munch Rubleon, who is a character who allegedly single-handedly won the Battle of Guntasport, or at the very least did so without reinforcements. How 8 is pretty vague on the details. Munch was a believer of the Force. Whether they were actually Force sensitive or just religious is also unclear, but at the Battle of Guntasport, they gave a speech. Really, this whole story is really intriguing. Fuck! No, it's a parody. That's all it is. That's all it ever will be. It is not interesting. It's not intriguing. You're not having fun. Next up is Bungalow Ripple. Ripple is said to have been a Jedi Council member who had survived Order 66, which is interesting, as across both continuities we are pretty familiar with the prequel-era Council members, and Ripple is not one of them. This would imply that Ripple was a Council member before the Phantom Menace at some point, making him a pretty old character. They would also survive the Galactic Civil War alongside Order 66, and frequented clubs in the Outer Rim, where they would eventually meet their future husband, Gip Bipple. This leads us into our final category, characters who actually have a substantial amount of lore surrounding them, starting with Gip Bipple, who is said to be a singer, a dancer, an athlete who played hardball, which isn't a real Star Wars sport in case you were wondering, a businessman, and became highly successful in the field of music after the Battle of Endor in the Outer Rim. The success brought them into frequent conflict with Joe Yauza, a former member of the Max Rebo band who we see in Return of the Jedi, and while at one of the clubs they performed at, would also meet their future spouse, Bungalow Ripple. After Bipple, we've got Flaster Bix, a character who does not speak Basic, but used to be close with a character we'll cover next, Cyclone Jiggy, as seen with a dap-up between the two performed in Attack of the Clones. This relationship would fall apart, however, as Jiggy would say something unacceptable to Bix. To follow that up, we've got Cyclone Jiggy, a character who only appears in the Legends continuity, but within it, appeared in Attack of the Clones, where they dapped up Flaster Bix. Despite this clear indicator of friendship, they would say something unacceptable to Flaster Bix, leading to mass public backlash and threats of being cancelled. Jiggy was originally slated to appear in the POW spin-off show, however, this appearance has been put into jeopardy based on their comments. Next up, we've got the big three, the ones with the most lore, starting off with Bondo Reems. This guy is just the king of necromancy, bringing back both Kit Fisto and Ben Quadraneros from the dead. We'll get to the latter later. Both Reems and Fisto would take up the bass and use their newfound skills to join the Cy Snoodles band, which isn't a real Star Wars band, but I'll just assume she formed it either before or after her stint with the Max Rebo band. Reems also does not appear in Andor. I have no idea what you're going to do with that bit of information, or how it's relevant to anything at all, but you know that now. Next up is the character with by far the most lore surrounding them, the one, the only, Peter Igloo. Peter Igloo is a character from both the canon and the Legends continuity of Star Wars, who has been implied to have been a morally good character who was powerful in the Force. Whether or not those last 2 points make Igloo a Jedi or not is unknown. For now, I would presume no. Igloo presumably knew Yaddle at one point, which would mean they had been around at some point between 500 to 32 BBY, and was part of the POW spin-off show, which must have taken place between 31 BBY and 1 BBY. This would make Peter Igloo anywhere between over 500 to 30 years old. Take that as you will. This last point on Igloo is the most defining part of his character. The murder of Ben Quadraneros. In the Legends continuity, Peter Igloo and podracer Ben Quadraneros knew each other at one point. At one point in this relationship, it was believed that during a conflict over death sticks, Igloo had obliterated Quadraneros, later being described as a bisection. This conflict would imply that Igloo had turned to the dark side, possibly even using a form of forced explosion, as implied by the first description of the event. However, This conflict was cleared up as Igloo was said to have been framed for the killing, and it was another who had killed Quadraneros. Ben Quadraneros would later be revived by Bondo Reems. Furthermore, this event has not made its way into canon. Really, Peter Igloo is a great character, and I'd love to see more of them. God damn! Lastly, we have our final character. The one you all know, the one you all love, Jinky Minus. Jinky Minus is a character in both the canon and Legends continuity of Star Wars, and was rumored to have been born of a Vergence in the Force, and as such had the highest midichlorian count in the history of Star Wars. They were also immensely powerful, defeating Ki-Adi-Mundi in combat, and has been claimed to be one of the most powerful characters in all of Star Wars. Minus has made an appearance in Young Jedi Adventures as a young Jedi, implying the character is at least 300 years old, if not more. Minus was also a prominent pod racer, said to rival Ben Quadraneros, he's really coming up a lot here, and was rumored to take Quadraneros' place at the top of the list after his death. At some point they came into conflict with Cylon Jiggy, and they would also get into a relationship with Cyclone Bingzoid at some point. And that's it. That is every single J-Cote Star Wars character. You are now caught up on everything you need to know, and you are free. Like myself. The series has been strange, odd, and at times a bit annoying to hear about as frequently as I do, but in all honesty, it's a pretty cool concept that is executed very well. I hate to say it, but some of these character concepts are cool, and I'd love to see more of them one day. Except one. The character I didn't talk about. The final one. Gape the Bingzoid himself. The man on the front of everyone's mind. The man behind the curtain. The man behind the slaughter. Why did I refrain from speaking about this lone character? Because there is nothing, not an ounce of lore, not a single thing to go off of. Zip, zero, zilch, there is nothing to learn. There is nothing there! So you may be wondering, why did I put him in the thumbnail? Why did I write death penalty? Because I hate him! I want him dead! I want him gone!